Let's talk about some of the cinematic techniques used in the compelling melodramatic short film, Death to the Tinman. Death to the Tinman is a 12-minute short film directed by Ray Tinnatori. The film tackles themes like love, sacrifice, and religion, as our main character Bill is placed under a curse, loses his limbs in gruesome ways, and is reconfigured with a body made of tin. The love of his life falls in love with the heartless, resurrected flesh version of Bill's body, and Bill is willing to sacrifice anything to prove his love and win her back. Several cinematic techniques are used to bring this incredible story to life, so let's take a look at some of them. First, let's take a look at the storytelling and structure used in this film. There is minimal dialogue in this film. The plot is primarily gathered through a third-person narrator and strong visuals. The film follows 3-act structure. In the first act, we get a setup that introduces our main characters, then we are introduced to a conflict as Bill starts to lose his limbs and the love of his life, and in the end, there is a resolution, although a very sad one. Let's talk about the editing choices made in this film. The film festival this short premiered at had strict guidelines that required production and editing to be done on 16mm film, including cutting the film on a flatbed. Ray, the director, did the first cut of the film on a film bench before deciding that the quality wasn't good enough. With some help, he switched to editing digitally. This is what Ray had to say about the editing experience in an interview with blogger Oliver Peters. "I absolutely love the tactile feel of working with film. I love holding the film in my hands and seeing how each frame is unique and changes from one to the next. On the other hand, this film has over 250 shots in 12 minutes, so cutting this short on a flatbed was an absolutely insane experience. I love film as a shooting medium, but I don't think I will ever cut another film on a flatbed. Digital editing allows you to keep really complicated projects organized and in sync in a way that you can't really appreciate until you've cut something this elaborate on a flatbed." Jump cuts are also utilized in editing, most commonly before Bill loses a limb in some gruesome way. We are able to infer what happened, but we aren't subjected to watch it. Other editing elements used include the 180-degree rule, match-on action cuts, and montage editing. Let's talk about the camera angles, shots, and coloring techniques used in the making of this film. This short film utilizes shots such as rear projection shots, extreme wide shots, and close-ups, as well as choosing to shoot entirely in black and white. The rear projection and black and white choices help give the film an old-timey feel. In the same interview with Oliver Peters, Ray states, "I was going for a real 1930s type of look. This film was shot in black and white, and we used a number of rear projection shots, much like a film of that era. Robert Litzel, my DP, supervised the transfer of the film to HD and was able to get a really rich black and white quality out of the negative. The colorist did a lot of work with power windows during transfer to enhance shots in ways that can only be done in digital finishing." The extreme wide shots are used to establish the setting of the scene, while the close-ups help establish the emotions of our main characters. Other shots and angles used include shoulder-level shots, Dutch angles, and long shots. Let's talk about the soundtrack used in this film. The music used in this film is extremely fitting. We get an eerie, sort of mysterious yet sad soundtrack at the beginning of the film. Throughout, the music paces well with the story that's unfolding on screen. And in the end, when the tragic ending is revealed, we get a callback to the eerie, sad soundtrack from the beginning of the film. Let's talk about the acting and costuming in this film. The main actors have a simplistic way about them when it comes to line delivery, which can be seen as somewhat void of the emotion required of the scene. This is actually an intentional stylistic choice, and is used to provide moments of humor in an otherwise sort of sad and melodramatic film. This is what Ray had to say on the matter. "The acting style, which I've heard people refer to as stilted or deadpan, mostly comes from the fact that my main advice to actors has always been to play it as straight as possible. I've always told my performers that the straighter they play it, the funnier it will be." As far as costuming, it's very symbolic of what the characters are dealing with in the film. Bill is always seen in a suit, even when he's turned into a Tin Man, which could symbolize his desire to still be seen as human and like everybody else. The pastor and other churchgoers can be seen in robes, which symbolize their devotion to their religion. In conclusion, Death to the Tinman is a beautifully and creatively made film that captivates many unique cinematic styles, and in doing so, tells a compelling, tragic, and at times humorous story about love and loss.